Star Wars Legends of the Force, Episode 1, Chapter 13, The Dark Turn. Although ambush became null and void, Knis has managed to creep into the hearts of our heroes. With the Sith fleet in front of them and the dark side awaiting, will our heroes stay true to the light, or is their fall already a certainty? Okay, when last we left off, you were ambushed by a group of Sith assassins who you later found out were after the gambler and were assigned there to take him out and anyone else in their way. Upon even though you were ambushed, you managed to deal with them fairly quickly and with minimal injuries, except for Kalani and Shialu, who seemed to just find the most efficient of the assassins. You did manage, however, to keep two of them alive. One was severely injured due to encounters with Dakaya and Aeland. The other was relatively unharmed. After interrogating the relatively unharmed one, you did manage to learn various information and a bit of insight into who the gambler is. Shialu protesting the violence perpetrated onto the two assassins came in and stopped the torture, but did not stop Takaya in time from killing one of the assassins who she thought was unworthy of living. Shialu then took the other really rather injured assassin and brought him to the med bay, and after patching his wounds up, his and the gamblers, you retired to speak with Kalani as you fear the direction your group was headed into. After a brief discussion with her, you returned to bed while Kalani was directed back to the med bay after a strange voice appeared to her. Upon reaching the medical bay, you found Pakaz in the process of terminating the other assassin, although something seemed to be holding him back. After an intense discussion, you were unable to stop Pakaz from eliminating the last assassin, and he left you in the med bay, crumpled on the floor, and that is where we're going to pick up now.
Oh boy. Yeah, after a few minutes at least, she'll try to pick herself up a bit and call Shialu on the comlink.
Okay, well, I guess I will come out of my force trance then.
Barry!
How long was I in my force trance, Ariana?
Since all of that happened?
Yeah.
Well, their whole exchange took probably like less than 10 minutes, so you're probably just getting into it now.
Okay.
So Kalani, are you retreating back to your bed?
Um, I'm still in the med bay, I think. Trying to pick myself up, but calling Shiloh over.
Through the force?
With the comlink.
Oh, okay.
Thought I said that.
I didn't hear you.
Sorry.
That's fine. So, you'd be just entering your trance. So, as you're closing your eyes, there is a sudden beep on your comlink.
Yes, what is it?
Shiloh.
What's the problem?
I couldn't stop him.
What do you mean stop him? Oh, is this about the cause?
Yeah, I tried.
Okay, I'm on my way.
So then I will get up and start trying to rush to the med bay.
Okay. It doesn't take you long. You open up the door and you see Kalani on the floor. There's a little bit of like random bits kind of on the floor around her. But you can very evidently see that the assassin's neck is turned in such a way that is unnatural.
The cause did this.
Kalani nods, ears drooped and looking very dejected and sorrowful.
I just sort of stare at everything for a couple of moments.
So, Picard just decided to snap the neck of an unconscious, helpless prisoner in the medical bay.
I tried to stop him. He said he couldn't let him. He couldn't let him live with what he had seen in the box.
Well, I'm sure that you did everything you could, Kalani. This isn't your fault. There's only one person, or possibly two, that are responsible for this.
Kalani takes a deep breath and um
Keep going, don't worry.
Kalani takes a deep breath and tries to steady herself and stand up.
What do you think we should do about this?
I just don't know.
Well, a large part of me would like to confront Picard, but I fear that this is not a good place and time to do so, so I don't imagine him being very receptive.
He wouldn't listen to me at any rate. I tried everything I could think of.
So what was his reasoning?
That he had to keep the secret of his power, I believe. Something about that.
Charlie will laugh at that.
He realizes that an entire casino full of people saw that, right? Is he going to try to kill all of them?
I mentioned that they all saw it, and that he couldn't go around killing everyone that saw it. But he saw this as an exception, apparently, as an enemy combatant or something like that. And I couldn't talk him out of it. I don't know what to do.
Okay, I want to make like a wisdom roll or something to see if I decide to go talk to Pakaz right now or wait till later.
Okay. You really want to, but you decide that probably it's best to sleep on something like this since you have already are a little bit heated about everything else that has happened.
Do you need anything? Otherwise, I'm going to go try to meditate on this.
I don't know. All this going on, and all with all this going on, I haven't. Um, she kind of shakes her head to try to clear her thoughts. What am my master? You did. Everything happened so fast after that, but did you feel that? Did you hear her?
Out of character, did I get a sense of that, or was that just directed at Kalani before?
You both were reaching out with the force, and so you were connected. You heard the same thing she did.
Okay.
Yeah, and all the chaos, I'd almost forgotten about that. But I did hear your master and sense her seemingly on the Sith fleet, perhaps.
If she's there, we'll have to rescue her too.
Indeed.
Do you really think that's where she is? Aw.
Well, my master seemed to think that some of what the cube showed us was related to reality, and in your trial, your master was standing as a proxy for us, but was in some sort of trouble on board a ship. So just as we rescued my master, we will do our best to try to rescue yours as well.
Thank you.
Would you like to tell the others?
I think we should, because it could affect the plan.
Indeed.
Speaking of which, did did the Sith assassins affect the plan? Did they get word out?
Well, according to the information that was brought to light, they don't have any communication equipment and they were sort of silent and off the grid, so they have not made any reports.
Yeah, Kalani's ears twitched, kind of disturbed at the reference, veiled as it was.
Well, if you're still injured, I would suggest going into a forced trance for the rest of the night, and then we can discuss our plans tomorrow with the others.
I'm doing pretty good as far as that's concerned now. The gambler helped patch me up a bit more after you left.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, didn't quite expect him to be skilled like that. But I suppose it's not that odd.
Well, just remember that what happened here wasn't your fault.
Thanks. I still can't help feeling like there might have been something I could do. But I mustn't dwell on that sort of thing. She takes another deep breath, trying to calm herself and settle herself down. Clear her thoughts.
All right. As you finish kind of discussing that and taking everything in, you eventually, uh, each of you, make your way to your rooms or stay, respectively, and kind of ponder about everything that has happened. Um, during this conversation, however, Ayland, when as you get ready to knock on the door opens on its own, and you see Dakaya in front of you walking on her way out.
Ellen will be startled for just a second and say, "Oh, Les, I remembered one other thing. Are you alright? I know you took a pretty decent hit during the fighting."
I'm fine. It wasn't that bad. It just looks worse.
If you say so, Les, but if you need, it might be good to get it looked at. If nothing else, we can at least jab a stim pack in you at the minimum.
No, I'll get some rest and heal up that way. Besides, I'm not sure your friend will be in the mood to help me.
I understand. Well, get some rest. Get some rest while you can, then. We still got ways to go, don't we?
Yes. Do you know if Kalani is in the bunk room yet?
Uh, I don't know. I've kind of been busy floating around, just thinking on things.
Right, of course. I was thinking perhaps I should sleep somewhere else. felt resistance from both of them, and that is not something we need to deal with on the mission.
Understandable, lass.
Right. Well, you should get some rest too. We have a long day ahead. The ship will fly itself for now. It'll alert us when we get close enough.
Alright, that sounds good. I might hit the hay hitter in a little bit. I've still got some thinking to do, but I probably will soon.
Very well. Good night.
Well, good night, lass.
She passes you on her way out. Akaz, are you trying to... Do you resist?
Nope.
Where are you?
Sorry. Yeah, I'm in the bunk room trying to force trans.
Right, then he is in the bunk.
Okay, so then Shaialu heads to the cargo bay.
You gonna sleep there for the night?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. So you each get to your respective rooms. And for the rest of the night, night being relative in space, but a couple hours, you all manage to sleep well. Some of you better than others. But for the most part, everyone gets a good night's rest. Eventually, after a fair bit of hours, you all are awoken by a gentle alarm that alerts you all that the ship is approaching something. Ayland, and if you're in the cockpit, then you see that the proximity alarm is going off, and that you're reaching your coordinates in the next 2 to 3 minutes.
Alright, Aelin will then get up and
So
make sure that
does it count as a full rest and full healing and feeling the condition track and all that?
Yes.
yeah, Aelin will
Yay.
go make sure that Remai knows about it. As well as turning the proximity alarm off.
Okay. Is everyone else going to the bridge?
I
Is the
imagine
proximity
so.
alarm audible throughout the entire ship?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I will.
Who is going to check on the gambler?
Aelin, he was gonna go let him know that the proximity alarm's going off, make sure he heard it, and is gonna head up to the bridge and such. Because it's his code, so he's the one who's got to put them in and all this jazz.
All right. As you reach the captain's door, you go ahead and make a perception check. Okay. You hear loud voices from inside. Not very loud, but there's definitely a discussion and it sounds heated, but you can't, from where you are, you can't make out the words.
Ooh. Yeah, I'll use that this time. Haha, I use knack.
Right. This time you come a little closer and you put your ear to the door. you can very distinctly hear the two different voices of Dakaya and the gambler. You can hear that they are fighting over something. It's difficult to tell because even though they are both fighting, there's a hushed tone to their voice, like they're trying to keep it somewhat inside. But after a little while, you pick up the gambler saying something about that wasn't necessary. You could have been useful later on, and then something else, and then you hear Dakaya. You're too forgiving. That is probably why you were infiltrated. You've lost your touch since you were part of the academy. A little bit, and then a little further, there's a little more discussion, and then you hear him. Look, we'll talk about this later, but for now, why don't you let me make those kind of decisions? I don't want you running off half-cocked and getting these people upset at us. We still need them. And you hear Dakaya she gives a sigh, and she kind of begrudgingly agrees to him. And then you can hear their footsteps coming towards the door.
All right, and I'll step back away from the door and kind of act as if I had just gotten there.
Okay. As you step back, and enough, immediately the gambler, who still looks a little injured, he's kind of holding his shoulder still, but he looks much better than he did the night before. You see him, he walks out with very little betrayal of his emotion. He gives you a wide smile and looks pleased to see you, whereas Dakaya, however, is not disguising anything. She looks sour as she trails behind him. Aelund, so you ready to meet the fleet?
Yes, I'll ever be, that's for sure.
Ain't we all? I gather everyone's probably up in the bridge, right?
Oh yeah, I think everybody's heading up there, since they probably want to at least take a peek and make sure, or see the behemoth that we're going up against.
A behemoth it is. All right. Let's go take a look at it, shall we?
All right,
You
lad.
He walks past you, paying doesn't give you a second look, whereas as you see Dakaya, she passes you, she gives you kind of a not a bad look, but almost like a searching look to you. And you can she's looking at you like she doesn't quite believe, almost like she suspects something, but she kind of shakes her head and walks past anyway. Right.
Into the maw of the dragon we go.
Yes. So when you all reach the bridge, in a few moments, you pull out of hyperspace and you get your first look at your mission. You see a large fleet, not massive, not like the fleets that battled the Mandalorians during the war, but a fair-sized one. There's probably a dozen interdictor-class ships, and various smaller ships, and you can see many tiny little dots going in between them. As at first, some of you are startled, but the gambler assures you that you are out of sensor range, and that for now, until he approaches, you are hidden. You are just within viewing range of the massive fleet. And even though they look like small specks just seeing how large they are from this distance, you know that you are tiny ants compared to the 12 ships in front of you. The gambler points out a ship at the center, and he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Annihilator and our target."
So wait, if we have to care about being detected, then how do you plan to get us in there in the first place?
Well, I'm still setting up the program now. It's going to take a few minutes. I just want to make sure everything's running first before we head in. We're only going to get one shot of this. So, something goes wrong. One of our, I don't know, engines, something doesn't go out, or maybe those assassins did something we don't know about. Anything like that happens, and we're going to have a lot more questions to answer. Fingers crossed, though. I'll upload the program. We'll sneak into the Annihilator. And that's that. If everything goes according to plan, this should be the easy part. I trust the rest of you all know what we are doing when we get aboard.
Well, we've got a bit of an added wrinkle.
What's that?
We should verify now that we're close, but I'm afraid that my master might be on the enemy ship.
Your master?
Just before we were attacked yesterday, me and Shiloh were reaching out to try to contact her in the Force. It was very brief, and everything that happened after that kind of threw everything. That kind of went to the lower imminent priority, but we sensed her ahead of us getting closer, and it seemed distressed.
Well, no offense, little Jedi, but if your master's aboard the Annihilator, well, it'll be like pulling an ace off the top of the card in the beginning of a deck. Finding her is going to be extremely difficult, and you're hoping she's going to be in decent condition.
Well, one more question to ask the Admiral when we get him.
Yeah, about that. Let's go over this plan one more time, just for my sanity. What are you planning on doing when you find him?
Well, first, Takai is going to lure him back to his quarters, saying she has a communication for him regarding something with the planet, the colony. And we head over there. While you and Alon head to the hangar to set up the jamming array. Once that goes up, Pakaz takes out the reactor, takes down power. We grab the Admiral. We sabotage the door so it makes it look like he's stuck inside, while we really have apprehended him and are relaying false messages to the crew, trying to stall enough time for this supposed Republic fleet to show up. Did I miss anything? I think that was the plan, right?
I think that's correct, lad. Or at least that was the goal until this last little hiccup.
Alright, well, no one ever said I shied away from a gamble. Let's not start now. Alright, so dividing of teams. Ayland and I are going to the hangar. because we're sending on his own to the engine, which that still doesn't make any sense to me, but it's your mission, and the rest are going after the Admiral.
Yep.
All right.
And hopefully find a way to rescue my master.
Also, where's the planet? Are we in orbit or are we still far out?
According to my readings, this is the last stop they'll make before they get to the planet. Now, the stop is only going to be maybe 2 hours. Then it'll take them less than 3 to get to the planet.
But if we stop them here, they can't just order the other ships to attack the planet anyway.
Ideally, we want to stop them here. We can better stop them from reaching the planet.
Didn't
If-
we talk about this? I thought we were stopping them just long enough so the Republic fleet could get here.
That's what you said, but we only have your word on that.
Akash shrugs.
I say we forget about the fleet entirely and do our best just to stall them or stop them or confuse them so that this isn't worth their time. If fleet shows up, it shows up, and we're good. If it doesn't, we've done our best to deter them from reaching their planet.
And we take the Admiral out of the equation.
Right. This is all going to have to be done carefully and in a timely manner. So, try your hardest not to get into trouble. But if you do get into trouble, you have to let us know. Otherwise, it doesn't do us any good if, we take out the communications, take out the power, and you guys are all stuck in the detention level because you got captured on your way to find the Admiral. There'll be a lot more problems.
Yeah, we have to verify that the Admiral's in his quarters, then the jamming, then the reactor. We also should schedule periodic check-ins with each other to make sure everyone is okay.
Carefully. Sith might be able to detect intercoms that aren't theirs. If we do it every once in a while, they might just shrug it off as a glitch. But if we do it quite often, they're going to start noticing that there's another signal aside from their own being used on the internal of their ship.
I'd say maintain radio silence unless we're at our objectives or encounter difficulties. Well, since there are force sensitives in each of the 3 groups, we should maintain contact that way. If there are Sith on board, will they be able to sense that?
Indeed.
I would assume so, yes. I will be hiding myself in every way I know how.
That's a good point. Try your hardest not to use your abilities. Not unless you absolutely have to. We are aboard a ship full of force sensitives, and you all know a ripple in the force is felt by all.
But just to be clear, the Admiral is not a force user, right?
As far as I know, no, he is not. I've never met him in person, but usually these types of people, you don't become an admiral if you're going to lead, if you're force sensitive and you're going to lead a fleet like this, you just become a Darth Lord.
True. Was he with Revan when they went to disappeared after the Mandalorian War, or is he new?
There are many rumors. I'm not exactly certain much about his background. Some say that he was in the Mandalorian Wars and was promoted to an admiral only after he joined Revan. There are others that say he was a cowardly man who never fought in the wars but regretted that and so joined Revan's side. Still, there are other rumors too that say he was there at Malachor 5. His past is shrouded in mystery, but most people agree that he's not really anyone of note.
As far as sneaking around the ship, do we have like any Imperial uniforms laying around, or are we gonna have to take that from some people when we land?
Other than the Sith assassin costumes, no, I don't have anything aboard this ship. But I believe you said something about their stealth field generator still being work.
Yes, I have them all in the bunk room.
Well, then we might outfit a couple in there.
How many of the stealth field generators are there?
Out of character, I didn't. I don't remember.
Did you write them down?
No, I didn't, because it was kind of like grouped together, and then like there was some other conversation going on, and I got distracted, and I didn't write it down.
There was a lot of stuff going
I know,
on.
I know, Picaz just has one.
Yep.
Okay, I know 3 of them were damaged in various ways. And there were 10 of them. Okay, so there were 10 assassins. 3 of their generators were damaged. So that means there were 7 that are still working.
And I have 1.
There are 6 of them. But I believe Picaz has a different one.
You probably see me wearing it.
So how do those work?
Takaya takes, asks for Picaz's.
Kaz is obviously very reluctant to take it off and hand it over. But slowly does it.
She takes it from your hand, disregarding your reluctance, and holds it out to the rest of the group. You activate it here, push it, and then press it into your belt buckle. You have to make sure that you're wearing it at all times. It will only conceal yourself and the things attached to you. However, as soon as something leaves you, it will not be captured in the field. So, say a blaster bolt or a lightsaber. If it leaves your hand, it will not be concealed. Also, the energy form of a lightsaber cannot be concealed by the stealth field generator, so I would not recommend pulling yours out, Kalani, unless you absolutely have to. They should keep you relatively hidden from the eyes and from sensors. However, people can still feel if you bump into them, and if you get too close, there is a sort of shimmer, and she actually turns it on herself, and you see she completely disappears. But then after a few seconds of staring at where she is, you can see a slight shimmer in the air, in a silhouetted pattern of her form. Yes, Kalani, and you can immediately you get with a looking over her, you can immediately see all the details and see where the shimmer is, how it looks from your perspective, and you kind of get this all this information in, which will give you for this session, for the entire time you're using the stealth field generator in this encounter, you will now have advantage on using the stealth field generator. Because you studied it so well.
I was almost hoping for a natural one on that, just for humor.
So there, Kalani, you got yourself an advantage on using the stealth field generator.
So, since we're using the stealth field generators, can I put my armor back on?
Aelin just smirks and chuckles just quietly.
Are you guys all gonna still make me go in there without my armor?
Dekai clicks the stealth field generator off and gives it back to Bakaz. Up to you. This should make it easier for you to walk around in your armor, but like I said, sound is not dampened. Your clanking boots will be heard if you're not careful. And if it ever fails, well, there's no way to disguise yourself, but that's not exactly an issue. If it should fail and you appear in front of someone, they'll already know you're not supposed to be there. So I would say it is up to you, but you would have to be very careful as your armor is rather heavy and rather loud when you walk.
True. I guess I should keep it off.
All right. Well, with that discussed, is there any other questions? Anyone else have any doubts? Is there something else we need to get out? Anyone
Do you have a way
wanna
to-
say
Do you have a way to hold the Admiral on board this ship?
like, do I have a cell here?
Or something we can use to that matter?
I have a closet that locks.
Excellent.
Right. So, any last words before we go in?
May the force be with us.
Indeed.
Aye. All right. Strap yourselves in, ladies and gentlemen. This could get interesting. Okay. You all strap in various places on the bridge. The gambler sits in the pilot's seat, and Takaya sits in the co-pilot. You see that the gambler switches the controls to manual, and he's actually guides the ship himself. While at the same time, he seems to be keeping up with something, some sort of code system on the left of his panel. But as he works, you can see, for those of you who are paying attention to him, you can see that he seems to be focusing more on his window and less on his instruments or his sensors. As he does this, your ship gently creeps into the entire fleet. As you get closer and closer, those small specks become larger and larger, and you see very quickly the full scale of an interdictor class ship. And you weave through two of them before you see the much larger flagship of the Annihilator. These ships are huge, and they have, you can see windows that look like little tiny pieces of just silver, sparse in between. Those of you who are looking closely, you can imagine that each of those windows is probably the size of a person, and just how teensy weensy they look onto the ship. It makes you feel very small, and you realize that if it wanted to, if one of those guns, for whatever reason, shot off, the Malefica's grace would not last very long. After about 2 minutes, there's a ring, an alarm sound. at the front console. And at this point, you see the gambler turns to you and he's like, "They're calling us. I need you all to remain absolutely silent." And then he flicks on the comm unit. This is resupply shuttle 15-9, requesting docking on the Annihilator. And there's a few moments. And then docking approval granted. Move over to bay 3-2. It should be open now. And he's like, "Thank you, Annihilator. Docking bay request confirmed." And he turns the comm off. He's like, "Don't worry, we're not actually going to dock there. It's just so that we can get through the front door." For a few minutes you go, space seems normal, and then you get closer to the ship, and there's a blue flash that goes in front of the Windows screen as you pass through the shielding of the ship. He flies to the very bottom, like just in the underbelly, a little large space away from the actual large engines which jet out from the back. The closer he rises up, you start getting a little nervous because he starts rising his ship up towards what looks like a solid panel of Durasteel metal. It looks solid, like there's no door, no crack, no nothing. And he just slowly inches his way. And it's only until you guys can see that you are a few meters from the actual Durasteel does it begin to open and reveal a small compartment. As it does, you can see that it decompresses and everything in this small compartment starts flooding out. You see cargo containers and flimsy paste and all kinds of like little things just kind of flooding out and coat, and some of them even hit Malefic's Grace as it gently eases up into the ceiling way. As you raise up, you find yourselves in a room. And it's rather strange as you're used to docking on a ship, in a docking bay and something that faces space. But instead, you just seem to be rising up into a room with a wall and a panel and no exit. And you reach through and enter the room. There's a few moments where you hover in the same position, and then you hear, and then after that sound, there's a few seconds before the ship slowly lowers, and then you hear the clamping of the legs. And then there is a few moments of silence. You see the gambler click a few buttons and then pushes back from his seat and he sighs. Well, now for the hard part.
Don't worry, lad. You did good. We'll get through this next part.
Well, we better. I really like this not to be the place I die. It's not very heroic. Right. Mandalorian, where did you stuff those stealth field generators?
They're in the bunk room.
Well, let's head there and get them strapped onto ourselves.
Sounds good.
All right. So you guys will all head to the room and get your equipment, and the gambler will go and get his as well. So we're going to take a 10-minute break at this point before we move on to the Annihilator.
Oh boy.
Need the
This is
Imperial
gonna be
March.
interesting. Meow, meow, meow.
No,
meow,
man, I'm
meow,
I'm
meow,
I'm, listen,
meow,
I'm listening to the
meow.
KOTOR 2 soundtrack.
Meow, 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 meow.
And we also need the Wilhelm scream to go off somewhere. Don't know where, probably many times, but
You're on your own with that one.
Once the plan goes horribly wrong and I start cap fools, just play it through your speakers into your mic. I had an app on my phone that had it, but I don't anymore.
When I fail my energy drain and I have to blow up the first reactor.
alright, in that case, I'll be right
Alright.
back.
Hey, at least you have
sneezed and
explosives.
I missed what
Yeah.
you said there.
Also, what are the explosives called again? I need to write that down. I
that was
forgot.
that